Hello everyone, so on our previous video, I showed you how to connect your Pavo20 Pro with your FPV Remote Controller 3. So some more people are asking if it's difficult to hold these three items. So if this Pavo20 Pro will work with all the FPV Remote Controller 2. Oh, putting this in frame. So they're asking if this setup will work as well if you're using the FPV Remote Controller 2. Yes, of course. It will work. Actually, the DJI O3 Air unit, if you have it and you are using it, it is actually most compatible with the FPV Remote Controller 2 because this is an O3 system and it's actually designed to work with O3 Air unit, especially if you have the goggles too. These two items works differently since this is an O4 transmission system and this is an O3 transmission system. And the only difference between the two is this is actually just a controller. You could say that this is just a Bluetooth controller. The Remote Controller 3 is actually communicating with the goggles, and the goggles is the one transmitting the data to the O3 air unit or to the O4 air unit. So this is actually just a controller. Meanwhile, with the FPV Remote Controller 2, this is actually a remote controller, and it transmits the data directly to the O3 air unit. If you would ask me which of these two would be the best for this system, for the O3 air unit, the Remote Controller 2 would be a more reliable controller because this is separate from the goggle feed. This actually works directly with your drone, and unlike this one, you need the goggles 3 to manage your connection to the O3 air unit. So for reliability's sake, I think this would be a more reliable. But any other system, it has its own downsides, and that is the VTX link. So even if you use the controller 3 or the controller 2, still the link, this whole setup will rely on your O3 air unit. So anything that happens with the O3 air unit basically doesn't have any connection to the flight controller, which is why people are saying that there is an extra delay on your input. It's milliseconds actually, because you have to go to the VTX before it goes to the flight controller. Unlike with ELRS or TBS Crossfire, the controller goes directly to the flight controller and it acts. The drone acts. What the heck that happened? Something fell. Okay. Never mind. So, with the TBS Crossfire or ELRS, you directly control the motor directly to the flight controller instead of going to the VTX then to the flight controller. So, the delay really is that link going to the O3 air unit. I haven't used this since I'm more inclined on using the goggles 3 lately because of the O4 transmission system, and of course if you got the O4 air unit, I might use it in my setup. So this is my go-to as of the moment on if I'm using the DJI system. This works with the Avata 2, with the Neo. This doesn't work with the Neo, so that is one downside of using the FPV Remote Controller 2 because this is only an O3 transmission system. Oh, wow. Some people will also ask, oh, this is an O4 transmission, so why is it working with the DJI O3 air unit? Yes, DJI did something to downscale the connection of the goggles 3 to work with an O3 air unit. So I do not know the technical specification of what they did about that, but it works. But the downside is you have a lower bitrate, 50 Mbps is the cap. If you're using the O4 air unit, it is 60 Mbps. So you have a longer range with the O4 air unit. With the O3 air unit, you have a shorter range. So they did something about that. It's all about it. It is done via software. So just don't think about it. Just fly the drone. Again, so those people who are asking, yes, the FPV remote controller 2 will work with the DJI O3 Air unit for the Pavo20 Pro, and it will work very, very well. So if you're now using the O4 Air unit, this will work as well, but you have a shorter range from a lower bitrate, just 50 Mbps. So if you want to have the best possible connection, use the Goggles 3 and the FPV Remote Controller 3 combo for your O4 area. And if you have a tight budget and you just want to fly the drone and you have a remote controller too, you could use this as well without going to the Goggles 3 and the FPV remote controller. This is how it is for the DJI FPV system using the O3 Air unit and the O4 Air unit as the link to your Pavo20 Pro, or even probably on other drones. But of course, like any other pilot, I will not suggest that you use this on big drones because reliability of using the DJI FPV controller 2 and 3 to control the quad is very susceptible to brownout. So you don't want to cause any damage, especially if you're using a 5-inch quad. For reliability, use a separate controller link or different protocol for controlling your big drones. Okay, so we will end the video here. Hope to see you in the next video. Happy flying. Take care.